What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. So today is the last day to enter for the $100 gift card giveaway for either the eShop or the PlayStation Store or the Xbox Store. You can enter down below in the link. Today we have some fun stuff to go over, including the Mini Create sales charts that show massive numbers for Kingdom Hearts 3. Seems like some people might have been waiting for Kingdom Hearts. Yeah, maybe? Okay. And then Resident Evil was also in that mix. And I actually saw a pretty big spike in PlayStation hardware numbers. We're going to go over all of that. And then we did see another game leaked out for the Switch. This one was from THQ Nordic, and there might be a few reasons as to why it wasn't just announced after the leak. We're going to go over all of that. Guys, as always, if you enjoy these videos, hit the like button, really helps out. Now we're going to start today with a weird glitch that took place yesterday. It might give us kind of a look into the digital age and one of the drawbacks that seems to be with the system being tied to the internet in some way, whether it's an internet connection that you need to have or sign in, or that's just part of the process. Because yesterday, several people were reporting that their Xbox One was turning on and then signing into just a blank screen. It actually even happened to me with the Xbox One X that I use quite a bit, actually. Almost every day, just about, I actually use the Xbox, and especially now, Kingdom Hearts is on there and Resident Evil is on there. So yeah, I'm playing it a bit right now. And it looks like they've at least fixed it for now, but there were several hours where people were trying to play around and figure out why their Xbox wasn't working. Turned out it was an issue with Xbox Live and the sign-in process. So at the time, you also couldn't access the site on your web browser to check how Xbox Live was doing, whether it was up or not. It was a weird situation. It's fixed now. What I ended up having to do with mine, even after it was fixed, was hard reset it, basically power it all the way down, unplug the power cable, unplug my Ethernet cable, got the power plug back in, turned it on, and then it did come up, then I plugged my Ethernet cable back in, and so far, so good. Able to get another hour or so of Kingdom Hearts in before I had to get to work on some other stuff. So, at least right now, but think about it this way. It appeared that the online service in some way affected people's Xboxes to the point where they thought they were just outright broken. So there are some drawbacks to that possible digital-only future going forward. We also got to look at the PlayStation Plus lineup for February. And there's also an odd little tidbit in there where your cloud storage for PlayStation will be going from 10 gigabytes up to 100 gigabytes for all of your save files. Now, you might be wondering, well, who needs that much for their save files? You'd be surprised. Some of the save files are pretty large. Things like, I know the wrestling games, because of course they'll save all those creator wrestlers. We even know that with the Switch version of NBA 2K, the save file is pretty large that they kind of set aside. So some save files, yes, are pretty big, and they're now upgrading to 100 gigabytes. So for anyone that has capped out their space or very close, you'll have 10 times that amount now going into February, which is a nice little bump to have. As for the games, they had a few interesting ones in there. Nothing mind-blowing. In fact, I would say one of the better games is on PlayStation 3, and I believe this is the last month that the PlayStation 3 and the Vita, I guess, will be a part of it, as those are going to kind of go away now going into 2019. So let's take a look at the list. We have For Honor and Hitman, that should be Season 1, are going to be on the PS4. So not bad there, especially if you haven't tried For Honor. If you have not tried Hitman, I definitely recommend jumping into Season 1, as of course the Hitman 2 is now out. And then going into like the Vita, for example, Dive Kick, that's the PS3 and Vita. Metal Gear Solid 4 is actually going to be on the PS3. It's a fitting way to, I think, to send the PS3 out for the PlayStation Plus. A great game if you have not played it, and it is a PS3 game, so you'll have to have your PS3 out. It's unfortunately not backwards compatible. Gun House on the Vita, that is cross-buy with the PS4, and then Rogue Aces also on the Vita, cross-buy with the PS4. Not a bad month, but not a blow-you-away month, especially for the PS4 owners. Like I said, I'd be happier if I was a PlayStation 3 owner and I had not played Metal Gear Solid 4, and all of a sudden you can just go download it. That is actually pretty cool there, but I guess having For Honor is a pretty good one. Then Hitman is the one I would check out. And then that upgrade for your cloud storage it's pretty cool to have. We'll look forward. My one question now is, since the Vita and the PlayStation 3 are going to kind of come off of there for PlayStation Plus, does that free up more room possibly for another game or bigger games that show up there? Maybe some bigger Sony first-party games, or maybe we just get a third game every month, so we get 3 games to the PS4 straight up of bigger games. we'll see if that actually has any impact on the PlayStation Plus lineup now with the PlayStation 3 and the Vita being left behind. And guys, some of the quick news out of the way, let's jump into the bigger stuff. We're going to start with Media Create sales. And that, of course, are the physical sales in Japan. We track them week to week. And I kind of like to look at them if there are some interesting things happening. And yeah, this past week, a lot of fun stuff happened, including Kingdom Hearts, which launched, and then Resident Evil, which also launched. So let's take a look at the top 10 here. And as you would expect, Kingdom Hearts 3 at the top with a pretty large 610,000 units sold all physically. It doesn't count digital sales. That should also be quite a bit there in Japan as well, which means Kingdom Hearts 3 is off to a pretty big start, and we'll of course hear more about it as other sales trackers like the MPD come out. Resident Evil 2, we already know, Capcom told us in its first few days, actually, not even I guess its first full week, it actually had already sold 3 million copies. At least they had shipped them, which means they got the money for them. 252,848, placing it at number 2. Pretty good there. New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe actually at number 3, still tracking above the Wii U version, by the way, 57,725. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate there at number 4, and that's actually at 2.7.5 million units, so that is rolling up to 3 million units pretty quick in Japan, and the sales numbers for Nintendo from their financial results should already be out, so we should have the number for Smash Bros. Ultimate. I'll be going over all of that stuff later on today. Ace Combat 7 at 5, Super Mario Party at 6, Mario Kart Deluxe at 7, Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee at number 8, and then we also have Minecraft at 9 and Splatoon 2 at 10. I do want to point out that Ace Combat 7 drop is massive, 87% drop. Now that could also be because Kingdom Hearts 3 and Resident Evil 2 came out, which of course pulled potentially dollars in sales from Ace Combat 7, but that is a huge drop off for that series, knocking it all the way down to 25,000 units sold. So we'll see if it actually recovers as Kingdom Hearts 3 and Resident Evil sell through. Jumping over to the hardware, the PS4 actually took the top spot, and I kind of expect it to sell maybe even a little better than this. It had two really big releases, Kingdom Hearts 3 and then Resident Evil, because, I mean, Xboxes are almost non-existent, as we can see on this chart, in Japan. But the PlayStation 4 still took the top spot, 50,644. If you look at the year-to-date compared to last year-to-date, you can see a bit of a drop-off there. Of course, this was when Monster Hunter World came out, which was very large for it. Either way, they are coming up slowly, but they're getting there to 8 million units sold in Japan, which is great for a strictly home console there. Of course, 52,429 for the Switch right below that, and that places the Switch just at almost 7.25 million units in Japan. The 3DS, 4,932. PlayStation Vita, 1,701. And the Xbox One actually didn't see any real boost from something like Kingdom Hearts or Resident Evil coming out at 93. Now, this is a bigger launch for Kingdom Hearts than the first one, but it is tracking behind the second one, which, yeah, I mean, there were so many PlayStation 2s in Japan when the second one came out. That makes complete sense. And of course, when the first one came out, not as many PS2s out there. Either way, I think Square is looking at this so far so good. And then, of course, we'll find out where it places everywhere else, since it came out in Japan first, and then later on, days later, it came out in the US and other territories as well. So I'm thinking they're looking for a decent number from Kingdom Hearts. Obviously, it's been a long time coming, and I think it will continue to sell pretty well throughout the year. I don't know if it'll stick around in the top 20 like for the entire year, but I think it'll at least be in like the top 30 or so consistently. Might even see a spike at Christmas time, but the issue they're running into, of course, is like the PS4 is slowly falling off, and they're going to have to find another system maybe to sell it on outside of the PS4 and Xbox One, and that's where, of course, the Switch talk comes in for that, but we'll see if they actually move it over. It does sound like they're at least interested in the idea right now. Next up, let's talk about THQ Nordic and Darksiders, because they leaked for some weird reason on their website out of nowhere. It was like a trailer they just randomly put up, and then they pulled it down. Darksiders Warmastered Edition does appear to be coming to the Switch. No release date was given, no features, no nothing. Usually when they do this, they'll send a press release, whether it's to me or other places. They'll actually send us a press release that goes over the release date, the price, and generally features, and usually some kind of, summary that tries to explain to you why you should get it. But a lot of us have already probably played this game. It's been on ton of systems. It was even on the Wii U. So if you haven't played Warmastered, you probably already have a system you can buy it on, but maybe you do like the idea of it being a portable system, of course, with the Switch. So I at least get that. But Darksiders is a good game. I like the first one a lot. The Warmastered Edition, of course, just made it a bit more current on newer systems. So I was happy to see that. And is anyone really surprised to see THQ Nordic port an older game to a newer system? They do that a lot. We just had Sphinx from the PS2 days show up, right, on the PC and now on the Switch. I actually think Darksiders will do okay. My one thought was, why wouldn't they have just announced it? Look, they accidentally leaked it, whatever, we're going to announce it next week. Look, it's announced now. Couple reasons. One, maybe they actually have something else set up in mind for it. A lot of people were thinking maybe they're holding it off for a Direct. Well, I don't know if Darksiders is something that you throw into a Direct and say, look, Darksiders, because it's not really a big, massive announcement. It's nothing brand new, even to Nintendo, as they had it on the Wii U. I was thinking more along the lines of, that wouldn't be the only Darksiders game showing up. People were kind of confused, like, oh, why wasn't it the second one? That's kind of what I'm thinking here. I think they're going to have the first one and the second one show up probably around the same time. They might even release trailers for both literally at the exact same time, and that's why they were thinking, oh, we accidentally dropped this one. Maybe they accidentally checked the box by accident on their website, and the trailer's out there now, and then they unchecked it real quick. People managed to download it, and that's why you've seen some of it here. But yeah, it's coming. We don't know when. I assume maybe over the summer or something. It's hard to say. The real interesting thing would be if they get the first, second, and the third one, and they announce all three at the same time. Not unlikely, really, I would say. It is possible because we've seen it before with other companies, and that's the only other thing I can think of outside of there actually being some sort of direct announcement with it. If not, though, they messed up, they dropped it. They're planned for like a week from now, so we'll see. Next up, let's talk about the weird glitches that are taking place right now with Smash Bros. Ultimate and Piranha Plant. Now, of course, Piranha Plant showed up. People were really excited. In fact, it seemed to trend above Kingdom Hearts at times on Twitter when that was all going down, which is an interesting thing to see. People were more interested in Piranha Plant over that and other things that were happening in the entertainment business. Anyway, it was just really funny to look over on the left and see Piranha Plant trending above basically anything else on Twitter at the time that was entertainment related. Anyway, Piranha Plant comes out, the 2.0.0 update drops, and then there were some hiccups as people started to report that, hey, my save file is gone, or it's corrupted, not really gone, but it was damaged to the point where they couldn't use it anymore, kicking them all the way back to the beginning with just Piranha Plant as the little addition. So that's kind of a problem. A lot of people were saying that, hey, when they go into the All-Star mode, Piranha Plant corrupts my save. And while that is the case for some, it seemed like it might just be an entire issue with the update itself, as some people were saying they were corrupting it without going into All-Star mode and without using Piranha Plant. So it's very possible that this update that they introduced may have actually just been glitched in some way for it to happen at a random time. People may be looking at it as being Piranha Plant linked to All-Star mode, and that's where the first one came from, and that's why people are believing that to be the exact case. But a lot of people are reporting different angles as to why it happened, so it's not necessarily just Piranha Plant. Now, I want to also mention that if you have backed up your save to the cloud, because you have the online service, you should be able to download your save back and get all of your info back. That's kind of one of the reasons it exists, in case something like this happens, which is, that's obviously a really bad glitch, and you of course have to pay to back your stuff up. Be much better if we could back it up, Nintendo, to a local USB or something. That'd be much better. Maybe even the little SD card that's in there. That'd be much better, but that's kind of the issue right now. We don't know if they're going to actually say anything about it, Nintendo, or they'll stealth patch it. I'd like them to at least say that they recognize the issue and that it's been patched, so we can all kind of go, okay, good, we're fine then. But they might just stealth patch it and not even recognize it, so we'll see. But just know it doesn't necessarily seem to just be Piranha Plant. It seems to be the update 2.0.0 that has been pretty much delivered and is causing some weird issues. So we'll see if anything is fixed from it and they acknowledge it. And our last bit of news, let's touch on Microsoft's financials they put out specifically for the gaming division. I mean, they put it out for everything, but we're mostly interested in kind of the gaming division with the Xbox and Xbox Live and everything. They put out a bunch of charts and they talked about it, and there was one interesting little thing to pick out from there that kind of tells me that, yeah, we probably are going to be starting up the next generation in the next year or so, I would say, definitely within the next 2 years. So let's take a look at some of the charts here. We're going to see right away, total gaming revenue was $4.23 billion, which is up 8% year over year. So they do have some growth there. The software and services revenue is up 31%. And that seems to be driven by third-party title strength, which, yeah, you have like Call of Duty, of course, and the biggest one, Red Dead Redemption. I think that's one of the massive ones. Then Fortnite obviously helps because a lot of the transactions take place over their Xbox Live service with that. The interesting thing here Xbox hardware revenue was down 19% year over year, and that has a lot to do with the Xbox One X launching last year. But of course, we have price cuts now on the Xbox and the Xbox One X, and it's kind of hard to compete with last year. However, it does show that there is a bit of a downturn in the hardware side of everything, and that is generally when you start to see companies say, okay, we're having a downturn, it's starting to kind of move down here, we're going to start looking into new hardware. And of course, we've even heard AMD talk about how the 6th or 7th year is when they do expect hardware to really start declining heavily. That's usually why we have 5, 6, 7, we had 8 years at one point, life cycles because of that decline. So I kind of expect us to start hearing about next-gen hardware coming up. But when I see these kind of things, and even Sony is kind of talking about how they're going to start to drop down a bit as well, we start to wonder when that would actually be happening with the next Xbox Scarlet and then the PlayStation 5. I do think we're going to hear something about either one of those this year. It could be towards the end of this year, could be at E3 with Microsoft, you never know. But at least Microsoft is making money with their gaming stuff. It does seem to have a lot to do with third-party developers pushing big games like Red Dead 2, and of course they had Call of Duty. But still, they're making money, and I think they really want to get to the next generation. And let's see what they can do there with Phil Spencer as the head rather than Don Matrick, who wants to give you a little camera and get you online all the time. But ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit the like button. It really helps out. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about, whether it is the Piranha Plant glitch or the version 2.0.0 glitch. Let me know if it happened to you and if you were able to get your backup or your saved backed up from the cloud. And if it wasn't Piranha Plant that corrupted it, what was it? And also, I guess, let me know if it didn't happen to you. And then what do you think about Microsoft and their financials? Do you think they are kind of starting to move to the next generation as we keep hearing about more and more hires, building more studios for future projects? And they've already talked about Scarlet. Is E3 the time for Microsoft to show up and show us Scarlet? Let me know what you guys think. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.